Coming to you live on location, this is the Between the Benches podcast, where we will discuss anything and everything hockey related. Let's drop the puck and get the action underway. All right, as promised, we have our Penguins homer here from Old City Sports Network. Everybody welcome in Cadeyn McCrory. He is I hope I said that correctly. I practiced so many times. He is our Penguins correspondent with Old City. Cadeyn, happy to have you. I wanted to bring you in obviously the Penguins announced they were going to bring in Dan Muse as their head coach. We'll obviously grab Brock's thoughts on it here in just a second. But as our Penguins homer and correspondent, what was your first reaction to hearing the hiring of Dan Muse?
Well, I wrote an article a couple weeks back, and it had the top 5 candidates, right? DJ Smith, Mitch Love, those kind of guys. Dan Muse wasn't really in the conversation. He was a guy that just kind of appeared out of nowhere within the last couple of days. And then all of a sudden I hear, oh, Mitch Love's probably not going to get the job. DJ Smith is still interviewing. And then boom, it was Dan Muse. So it was kind of out of left field, but I do like the hire. I mean, they always said that they wanted to go with a younger-minded coach, Muse being 42. He fits the bill. He coached a guy like Rucker McGrody at the USNTDP. I really do like this hire. A lot of people are saying, he doesn't have much head coaching experience. I think that's okay with the timeline right now for the Penguins because they're just kind of in that uncertainty. So you want to take a chance on the guy. I don't mind Dan Muse.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I brought this up later, but it seems very much like these developmental coaches are going to get a chance, and then these bigger organizations are maybe looking to replace them eventually with a guy that is going to take them to that championship pedigree. So do you feel that's kind of where the Penguins are heading with this hire?
I hope so. I mean, as long as you have Sidney Crosby on the roster, you're going to try to be competitive. The last couple of years with Mike Sullivan just were not that. But with the influx of younger guys like a McGrody, like maybe a guy like Vasily Ponomarev, you could see Owen Pickering, Harrison Brunicky make the lineup this year. It might be better just to have that younger-minded coach, the guy that can understand where these new young kids are coming from, fit them into the bill. Like a Mike Sullivan could not do that. And he's going to struggle with that with New York with a guy like Gabe Perreault. So I think with a younger group of guys coming in to help Sid and his crew, this is the ideal move. And I think hopefully, get some other younger players on that roster with more NHL experience. The Penguins could sneak their way into the playoffs, hopefully. And I think Muse could be the man to, just get him back to the place. I think that's all we're asking for as Penguin fans right now.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that up because that was going to be my next question is, as a Penguins fan, is your level or the bar you're sitting for this to be a successful hire? Is it to see them make the playoffs? Is it just to see them, play, have better team play or maybe better defense? Because that's kind of what Dan Muse is known for, is his penalty kill, specialty. That's definitely something that's traveled with him everywhere he's been. What would you say? What would you rank your level of success, or what would you want to see as a Penguins fan with this hire?
I mean, the easy answer is obviously just to go back to the playoffs. I mean, you want Sid to be happy in his final couple of years here in Pittsburgh. Yeah. I mean, he's not going anywhere. I'm going to stay at that certainty. He's not getting traded. But I think simply just make the playoffs. That's just as simple. You get guys, like I said, McGrody and Pickering, that experience and just get into the playoffs, kind of like what Ottawa and Montreal were this year. You can get blown out by whoever the first team is. Just get there. That's just, I think, the simple answer here. And the defensive-minded thing, I think that really is going to work well, that well-round these guys. I know McGrody had his skating problem or whatever. I think Muse is going to be a good fit for him to help him become more well-rounded.
No, 100%. And you speak to that defensive pedigree a little bit. Do you I guess the hot topic going into the summer, and we'll definitely get you back on the pod later to talk about this because I think it's a fascinating topic, but do you see Erik Karlsson buying into this defensive mindset that obviously Dan Muse is going to bring to the team? That's kind of the big question mark, I would assume.
I'd say absolutely not. I don't think Karlsson's that kind of player. I think at the end of the day, Karlsson was going to get traded during the offseason anyway. I mean, the Penguins are just going to try to offload that money. They're okay eating it. They have $20+ million in cap space that they're probably not going to use right now. So I think somebody's going to get Karlsson, and I don't think he's going to fit in the bill whatsoever with Dan Muse. But if he is, I'd love to see the drama between those two. But I think the rest of the guys on the roster, especially a guy like Ryan Graves, if they don't buy him out, I think can actually improve from last year. I know there's not really much good to say about Ryan Graves from last year, but I think with Muse, there could be that small jump to what they hoped he was going to be when they first signed him 2 years ago. So maybe there's that little bit of hope left here for Ryan Graves with Muse.
No, absolutely. And ironically, Ryan Graves was part of our pointless player draft. You might have been a little late to that. We had after the first 10 games of the season, we all picked players. We build like our own teams of who is yet to register a point. And it came down to Ryan Graves was the last man standing. So shout out to him. And then obviously with them being in the Metro division, it's pretty wide open from I guess from a playoff standpoint. Last year it was a dumpster fire, that Metro division. Obviously the Jackets were right there at the end as well. And as far as I guess back to that kind of success question, do you see them competing for the division, or would you rather, I guess, do you set the bar more at the wild card stage?
Definitely wild card. I think it's a tall ask. Washington had a really good year. I think they're going to be able to replicate that. And then the Devils probably should be in that category as long as they stay healthy. After that, it's really a mixed bag. I'm Carolina, of course, as well. Will always be in that mix. Everything after that, I think, is a mixed bag. Some of those teams maybe can drop to wild card. I don't see the Penguins competing for the top of the division. But sneaking in the wild card 1, wild card 2, I think is realistically, as long as the season starts the way that we kind of hope. But I think that's just the top level I think this team can get to next year, at least. Right.
Absolutely. No, fair enough. Well, we appreciate you joining us. A little birdie told me you might be having your own podcast coming up. Where you want to let the people know where they can find you and kind of what that podcast is?
Yeah, it'll be called Yins on Ice. It should be starting up here within the next week or so. Myself and my colleague Caleb McCabe, in partnership with Old City Sports Network, we are beyond excited to get this going. We put a lot of work in, and we're ready to showcase it now. I know I've got a couple articles out on the website as well regarding Penguins buyouts, the coaching search when it was going on. So I'm just happy to be here. I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully we get as good viewership as you guys do for my part.
No, I'm happy to have you anytime. We'll definitely have to bring you on whenever we have any kind of Penguins news for sure. We do appreciate your time, Cadeyn, as always. And hopefully we can get Pat McAfee on your show. That's kind of my dream, honestly. We'll get the Yinzers really yucking it up on that podcast. I think it'd be a good time. But
that would be awesome.
I couldn't agree more. That'd be fantastic. So again, thanks, Cadeyn, for joining us. We're going to kick it over back to ourselves with Brock to get his opinions on Dan Muse.